You give me just a taste, so I want more. Now my hands are bleeding and my knees are raw. 'Cause now you got me crawling, crawling on the floor. And I've never known a girl like you before. That's a song called A Girl Like You by an artist called Edwin Collins off his 1995 album, Gorgeous George. Joe Thurman chose that song. And why'd you choose it, Joe?
I chose it. It's always been one of those songs to me that you wonder, like, man, why wasn't this a bigger hit? It's such a badass tune. It really, really is. And I heard part of it the other day as I'm walking out of a store and heard part of it. You know how the store has their own, and it was like, oh yeah. And then I just came home and messed around a little bit and I just played it on the computer and watched the video and so forth. But I think it's that plus something triggered in me when we were talking about your lyrics the last time, searching for the daughter of the devil himself, searching for an angel of white. And we talked about it wasn't literal. Obviously, we talked about the duality of all humans, like some good, some bad, and then the balance therein. Well, to me, this just struck me. It can strike, the words, if you isolate them, they can strike you in any way you want. But what it brought home to me, especially this, you give me just a taste, so I want more. Some young lady that he was involved with, he just got involved with, and it was their first time together, and he was really, really smitten with her, and the next line is, now my hands are bleeding and my knees are raw. Obviously, I didn't take that literally. What I took it as is he was with her. He was really just blown away, and he's swallowing his pride. He's whatever she wants him to do. He's willing to do whatever. He can't believe that he's with her, that kind of a thing. Because now you've got me crawling on the floor, right? Crawling on the floor. No, not literally, but just what I just said, crawling on the floor, willing to swallow his pride and acquiesce to whatever she wants type thing. Again, I'll get to this in a minute. And I've never known a girl like you before. What it says to me is that first time, and a lot of guys, almost everybody at some point or another, you're with a young lady. She's very, he says earlier in the song, you're knocking at my door. So she made the first move. She came on to him. And he's like really astonished that he knows that she's a little bit out of his league, but not too much. Not so that it's outlandish, but he knows that she's just a little bit out of his, but he rolls with it. And he rolls with it and he has a great time with her. And the next day, sitting around and she doesn't call him. And he's wondering what's going on here. He's like, unless you're the best actress in the world, we had a great time together last night. I don't know what it is. And the next day she doesn't call. Finally, he calls her back the third day and he gets like either no response or a lukewarm response. And then what happens? A couple of days go by and he sees her out at the club, with another dude. And then he talks to a couple of his friends, talks to some male, some female, and they all tell him the same thing. She's bad news. She gets around. You didn't know that. Oh, my God, blah, blah, blah. It's that first time that as a guy, you think, oh, my God, I've been had. I've been had. And that's kind of, he met this girl. She was aggressive. He had a great time with her. He thought he was getting involved with maybe I got a girlfriend here and she's really smoking. She's a little bit too much for me, but hey, no, I'm going to roll with it. And then, oh my God, the letdown that, brother, she was just playing with you, for that night. And it's a hard thing, but, it happens. And I think when it happens the other way around, socially, it's like, I'm not saying it's more acceptable when it happens like with men do that to women. And I'm not saying it's right. It's not as shocking or it's not, but it happens the other way around, Brohim. And that's kind of what I took from it. And it's a kick in the throat when you first, when it first happens. But that very first time he realized, oh my God, she used me. Oh man. So that's why I did it. How about you?
It's a good song. I haven't heard that song in a while. Like you sent the lyric, you're like, I'm choosing these lyrics to the song, and then I go through my process, looking up the song, and I listen to it on Spotify. I'm like, I know this song.
Isn't that a
Um,
badass tune though? And
yeah,
aside from
good.
everything else, guys, it's a great tune. It really is. It
Yeah.
really rocks.
Because if you could, can you say, and I've never known a girl like you before in the way that he sings it? Just to, I guess people will know that song immediately if you just say it like in a kind of the tone that he does.
And you know what? You just said something. I will, but in a second. You just said something where if you go ask somebody, what's the name of it? Have you ever known this tune? And they say, no, I don't recognize the name or the artist. But when you play the song, it's like, oh, now I got it. It's almost what we do with the actors and actresses. It's like, you don't really know this name, but I'll show you this picture. You know, you know who it is.
Yeah.
So
So
it kind of now I can't get. I never met a girl like you before.
yep, that's all you need to say. Because
That's
that
kind of
I think most people can hear that just one line and they'll be like, oh, that song. I think I'm telling you because that really.
And
But
and Sean, I just want to say this. I thank you for your patience with me because I'm on and on, but I wanted to say this about the song as well. Not only is it a badass tune, okay, it is supposed to be some kind of people think it's some kind of a tribute to Iggy Pop, who Iggy Pop, although I don't like a lot of stuff, I don't even know a lot of the stuff he did. He's an icon as well, and he's involved with other people. He was involved with Bowie. This is a tribute to Iggy Pop. If you notice the guitar in it, and they call it the fuzzy guitar. Because it's got that weird like sound to it, and it's something apparently Iggy did or whatever. So the tribute to Iggy Pop, the fuzzy guitar, the great beat that the song has, and of course lyrics that you want to take with you. So that's why.
did you know that you ever hear the band the Sex Pistols?
Yes.
Their drummer Paul Cook performed on this recording of the song.
Say it again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm just making the drummer from the Sex Pistols, Paul Cook, performed on this song.
Okay.
So
believe
that's
that.
interesting. Also, if you listen pretty close, if you have headphones on and you listen to the song,
Mm-hmm.
you pick up barely whispered. It says you'll hear if you have headphones on to the left, followed by to the right in the relevant ear during the intro. You got to listen to pick it up, but it's it's there. It's just one of those things that sometimes audio engineers put these little like things in songs but you can't really hear them unless you have headphones on. So that's pretty interesting too.
It is neat, and I just thought it was one of those songs that sits out there all by itself. There are a few of those. They're probably one day we'll do maybe a show on one hit wonders or something. I don't know, but it was just one of those moments, and the timing was right. And when I triggered it. I was walking out of Wawa, and I just heard the opening beats. And I'm like, damn, I got no notion to stand here by the deli and just listen to the rest of the song. I want to leave you, but I just left and I turned it on. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to mess around and do that on the show. So that's what we have.
Absolutely. And you told me today that I didn't know this. Today is Friday, January 27th, International Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Yes.
It's designated by the United Nations General Assembly. Since 2005, I think that's when it started. They have commemoration ceremonies to mark the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, Birkenau, and to honor the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust and millions of other victims of Nazism. One thing I like about it too is it also rejects any form of Holocaust denial, because that stuff drives me crazy. When I've had people that I know pretty well reject people from my past that I've just known reject the Holocaust. Like they don't think it ever happened. They're believing conspiracy theories. And I'm like, well, look at all like the footage, the videos, the pictures, the people who survived, the stories. You really think it's a grand conspiracy? Because that's sad. So Holocaust denial is not good, not healthy for our world, because it happened. 6 million Jewish people were victims, and that.
I don't know. Alex Jones said it didn't happen. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah, that guy's obviously.
Oh Lord.
He's a pretty sane guy, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's really sane when he's sitting next to Kanye, maybe. But other than that, anyway, yeah, I'm glad we brought it up, dude, because that's something that is just I can't even. It's still hard for me to fathom some of the things that went on there and why and. I don't even want to tell you some stories that I heard that are true, that are validated about how cruel. I mean, cruelty is something that drives me nuts.
We'll talk about it like another show. Maybe
it's a good idea.
We have a lot to get to, but we had to recognize and acknowledge it. Another thing about it is The UN's trying to actively preserve the sites that the Nazis used during their final solution. And the final solution involves killing centers, concentration camps, and prisons.
Mm.
So they're trying to preserve those sites. Um, yeah, so it's just a cool thing. I had no idea till you told me, like literally a couple hours before the show. Like, dude, like today's like some International Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's like we'd be remiss if we didn't at least acknowledge and bring it up, you know?
Oh, absolutely. It was on this day, 70 some odd years ago. I don't know what the number is, but on this date that they closed Auschwitz. They
Yeah.
absolutely just formally shut it down. And this is commemorating that. So,
And I also want to, you sent me a very nice voice note a couple days ago. You were in McDonald's and something really struck you. It made
oh,
you a little
yeah.
bit emotional. What exactly happened?
Um, it's what I do. It's what I've done most of my adult life is work with people with disabilities. And it just didn't come from nowhere. My heart is always going up from the time I'm in grade school. I could see some of these other kids and they were different and I always felt for them. And I tried my best not to let people pick on them and stuff, but I'm off on a tangent. I was sitting in McDonald's, probably not the most strategic meal, but this week I've been sick and I don't give a damn. And I said on the show, when you haven't been to McDonald's in a while, I'm telling you, I had a great meal, fantastic meal. But as I'm finishing my meal, I kick back for a couple minutes because I like to just look out the window and relax for 5-10 minutes before I leave. And in comes this mother with 5 little girls, probably ranging from like 8 to 10 years of age. And one of the girls had Down syndrome. And I just thought that was, I wasn't sure if it was, she was the mother of that girl or just the mother of one of the girls. And they just brought her along. I thought either way, I was going to go up and say something to her and, so forth and say, I think this is just beautiful. I'm a former special education teacher. I've always, that kind of thing. It's explained to her who I am and what, and just, but I, as I'm looking on, I don't know if it's been the combination of being sick and too much cold medicine and McNuggets or whatever. Like it was just like the wild combination. I just got a little too emotional and I couldn't even go over to the mother. I had to leave. And I made it out to my car and it was just a little, I didn't lose it, but I was just a little bit, shaken, but in a good way. I was like keeping it together, but the emotions were really running because I felt so damn happy for this little girl. Either way, if it was her mom taking her out and all the other girls going along, or if she was just straight up invited to one of the other, either way, it's a beautiful thing. And it wasn't always like that, dude. It wasn't always like that. That little girl, a lot of times in years and generations going by, would be home alone, not understanding why she wasn't invited to this or that. So, you know,
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean because when I was at Villanova, I volunteered for the Special Olympics. The Special Olympics is held every year at Villanova, and me and my fraternity brothers, we'd help out with the events that were going on, and you see the happiness of all these young people. And they had Down syndrome. Obviously, it's Special Olympics, and it's just something really touches your heart. You're like, wow, they're really having a good time. They're really enjoying this. They're playing sports. It's like their Olympics. It's their big event of the year.
yes, and
Uh,
they're happy as hell. They're doing and they're involved. They're doing something. There's something for them. And I just wanted to bring it out. I just wanted to bring it out how beautiful that was, and we shouldn't take it for granted. And guys, inclusion and diversity isn't always just about race or ethnicity. Diversity is about inclusion of people who in the past weren't always included. And these folks are a prime example. So when we talk about diversity on the show, of course we talk about, the Latinos and the Caucasians and race and because we're that way. But inclusion also means a condition, and a condition is something like Down syndrome or something similar. And we must always remember, I used to tell this to kids all the time, who once in a while I'd see them messing around making fun of, and I'd say, hey, come over here. They didn't choose. They being those kids that have this thing, they didn't choose to be this way. They had no say in it whatsoever. So what are you making fun of them for? You're irritating me, really irritating me, and I'm disappointed in you. And that, believe it or not, a lot of times would get their attention, get them thinking. So please, to whoever that mother was. That was a fantastic thing that I witnessed. I'm sure it happens more and more now than it did before, but keep it going, please. And to the parents of children like that, you know, you're special too. You're special too. And someone told me once that God will only give kids like that to special parents. So just remember that.
Absolutely. It's a good story. Um,
Thanks.
so I guess we're on the topic of food too. You're at McDonald's. I tried Indian food for the first time this week. I've always wanted to try Indian food the past couple of years because I have a couple Indian friends and they told me it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And other people who are not Indian said it's good. And I'm always thinking, I'm like, well, Indian, doesn't it spicy? Because I'm thinking of the Along Came Polly, that scene with Ben Stiller. I think they're eating in like an Indian restaurant or some Thai restaurant or something. And
Right.
Ben Stiller starts eating the spicy food. Then he has to go to the bathroom a lot. So the stuff like that was always in my mind. It's like, okay, is my body made for this food? Am I prepared to eat all this, whatever ingredients are in this?
Right.
But I got this refrigerated product from a local supermarket called Suki's Indian Cuisine. And it was fantastic, dude.
Okay, when you said that's not the way you want to try a new cuisine, like out of the freezer section.
Well, yeah, I trust it because I don't know. I trusted
yeah.
it.
No, if it was good, Sean, it was good.
Yeah, I got chicken coconut curry with mango. The chicken was white. It was tender. It was delicious. The sauce was delicious. It only took 3 minutes to make. It says 3 servings, but 3 servings is about 560 calories. So not that many calories if you're eating alone. It's very, very tasty. You know, now I'm interested in trying, like, you know, you said, I got it from a supermarket. Maybe that was the smartest thing. Wasn't the smartest thing, but now I can venture out to a restaurant. I'm confident because I like that, how good the restaurant's going to be. It's going to be even better, you know?
Yeah, I can remember it's like 17, and I had a girlfriend. She says, why don't we go to get some Chinese food? And I'm like, are you out of your mind? I said, I couldn't eat that. Because I had a preconceived notion of what it was, like fish heads and stuff like that. I'm like, well, I can't. She goes, what? And she starts explaining this and that. And how about chunks of chicken that are breaded and like just like in glazed in orange sauce and this and that? I'm like, well, and I went out and tried it. And dude, I was like,
Wait, so what
my
kind of
God,
food was
that was just Chinese food.
that? Oh,
I was
how old are you?
huh?
You're only 17. You never had Chinese before?
17. My parents never really dug Chinese food. I always thought that from what I heard of it, it was just like, stuff that I wouldn't like. And I
It's
had a
delicious.
preconceived notion. So I tried it. My point is I tried it when I was like 17 and it was like unbelievable. I'm like, now I don't like everything that they have still, but
Yeah.
because I don't eat seafood, but a lot of it, all the
Yeah,
chicken,
they have a
and
lot of
beef,
chicken and meat. They don't,
pork.
like,
Yeah.
you don't have to get seafood at all. I barely ever get seafood when I get Chinese. Sometimes I'll
Right.
get the little shrimp and the shrimp fried rice.
Mhm.
But really, I'm going for sesame chicken, the egg rolls, the
Grandfather's
wonton
chicken,
soup.
General
Yeah,
Tso's. Yeah.
delicious.
Egg rolls, I could sit there. Anyway, my point is, because I'm off on a tangent. My point is,
What
I know
did
you
you
talked.
hold on, notice that? Did you replace I digress with I'm off on a tangent?
I did. Why did you have to bring attention to it? But I did because
Because I didn't want to
first
make
of
you I
all,
didn't want to make you self-conscious about saying I digress. Now because I noticed you've been saying I'm off on a tangent. I'm like, man, did I really, did I ruin the I digress?
I just said to myself, let's replace it a little bit. I have very limited lexicon, but I could replace the one word there. Anyway, I digress. Okay, how's that? But the thing recently, because I've thought about trying Indian food too, but every time I see it, it's always about on TV and some show of somebody getting sick to their stomach or this and that, or the heat. Because I can't now with my acid reflux and heartburn, I got to watch what I'm doing. And from what I understand, this stuff has got all kinds of heat to it. So I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about Indian food?
Yeah.
You haven't had Indian food?
Nope.
Okay, so maybe one of these nights, man, like me and you will go to fucking get some Indian. Sorry, cursing. I had,
That's $20 now you're up to, but go ahead.
maybe we'll get some Indian grub,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, but that could be, but I have to make sure it's not spicy or whatever because I don't have the heartburn and
Yeah, because
stuff.
the stuff I had was it says right in the package, it's mild. They have a meter, like mild to the extreme, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And it's very mild, spicy, and I didn't even notice it at all. Yeah, my nostrils were a little bit, I was blowing my, I was a little bit,
Well, that's anything.
my nose was a little bit runny after because, it's a little bit spicy, but it wasn't spicy at all to me.
That's a little spicy is fine. Did they give you plenty of rice?
Here's the thing. That's what I got surprised. It didn't come with rice. It said Suki also made the Indian lady who's the brand name. She also makes rice, but it's a separate thing. So I didn't have rice. Plus, I don't always, include the carbs anyway. So I just had, I had some like romaine lettuce on the side. I had a little vegetable, that type of
I
thing.
see. I got to say, hey, look, I don't care what you got to do. Bring me some rice. I don't care if it's whatever it is. I don't care if it comes with it or not. I need you to bring me some because I like rice I love rice. I like sticky rice. I like pork fried rice. I like all kind of rice. And if they have chicken or pork or something like that, and I just got to watch the spices, but maybe it might be a good thing to try it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, my point was I never thought I'd get anywhere near Chinese food. And then she turned me on to it. And I'm like, wow, this is like, okay.
Yeah.
It was one of those, just try it. Just try it. Okay, I did. And I'm like, damn. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
So maybe I
So
will like Indian food.
I have a continuation to my story. Last episode about how there was no Glade in the Walmart. I went back a couple days later, still no Glade there. And I asked a couple of the employees, and they said they don't know what's going on. They haven't had it in stock recently. So I don't know. But also another thing that happens, this is kind of an annoying thing that happens, especially when you go places by yourself. Like I was just shopping in Walmart, but there were like these teenage kids walking around just like screaming at people and scaring people and messing with random people just trying to shop.
Yeah.
And then eventually I saw a mom running the store. She was freaking out. I think she was trying to get her son. And the police, when I was walking out, the police were there. So the police were called. But, it's one of those things because when I was a teenager, I didn't just go to random places and just like, disturb the peace and mess with people at stores. It really isn't a good thing to do. I don't know if that's ever happened. Joe, have you ever been out by yourself shopping and weird things like that happen where they have to call the police and it's like, it's an awkward situation?
No, but I hearken back to a conversation we had recently about technology and how it can be your best friend or it could be one of your worst enemies, depending on what you do with it. The youth today, these youths today, what they're doing a lot of times is they're getting on social networking and they're conspiring. Hey, 4:30 over at that, that Williamstown Walmart over there. We're going to take it off the hook. We're going over there. And before you know it, you've got a 70, 80. And so what I'm saying is the youth today, they're using technology, again, in a bad way, to get together and to orchestrate these little rebellions or whatever the hell you want to call them. And I think it's really dangerous. It's really maddening. And I don't know what else to do. But when they start with this kind of bullshit, it really irritates me. There's another thing that irritates me with kids today is that I heard one of them bragging one time that, oh, this weekend, yeah, this was a girl too. This weekend, yeah, me and my friends, first of all, it's okay, not the grammar, but this weekend, me and my friends, we got together and we were walking around. We were just walking up to people and smacking them in the face for no reason. I'm like, what? Starting with people for no reason? Somehow it's a thing. They want to prove to each other how hard they can be. You know what I mean? Yeah. How hard they can be. It's just it's really irritating.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it's not a trend, but if it happened, I don't live in like a really crappy area and the Walmart's not like, in a horrible area whatsoever. So I was just like, man, like, I'm happy. I'm proud of myself because when I was a teenager, we weren't messing around doing stuff like that. We had our little pranks and things.
Exactly.
But we don't want to disturb random civilians walking in a store, for no reason. So
right, exactly.
So
parents, please get a hold of your kids, please.
Yeah.
Teach them some values, please. I
wanted to, last episode, me and you got caught up talking about how pretty and attractive Diane Lane was and how talented she is. I completely forgot to do my top 5. So I'm going to quickly.
That's okay, because we were so effusive with her that it's really a compliment to her more than anything, because we were just so effusive with her. We went through every movie she did. We went through we gave her more attention than any other artist. So it was just because we were so enthusiastic about her, Sean, that this top 5 slipped. Not that because we were lacked enthusiasm. So It was just more of a compliment to her, but I'm off on a tangent. I'll let you go ahead.
Did you know that she dated Bon Jovi for like 5 months?
Didn't know it, but it doesn't surprise me.
I think it was 5 months. I don't think it was 5 years, but yeah, she dated, she's anyway.
Rock stars,
So top 5, I mean, my number 1's got to be Unfaithful. My number 2 is the show House of Cards. Those are my top 2. And then if I have to fill in the top 5, I go probably Jack, number 3, Hardball, number 4. And then number 5 would probably be Outsiders, or Untraceable. But that's my top five because I had people. I guess we got some loyal listeners. They mentioned it to me. They're like, "Dude, you didn't listen. You didn't do Diane Lane's top five." So people are waiting for these segments. So it's kind of nice to hear that people actually look forward to some of our segments. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is nice.
I mean, yeah, we're only 20. This is our 24th episode, I believe. But anyway, so okay, so Joe, you chose our actor today.
One funny thing to say to that too. I have a 11-year-old nephew, and he says, "Oh, Uncle Joe, I just want to say one thing with your thing. You know that little game that you and Sean play with the questions and this and that?" He said, "You know how you do two wrong and then one right or something like that?" He says, "I think you had it." I said, "Yes." I said, "Sean and I are trying to come up with one method that we can agree on." And I said, "For that moment, I had it changed." And I said, it's a good, I'm glad you caught that. And I gave him a little pat on the back, a little gold star for the day. But I said, Sean and I are going to come up with our own consistency with that. And we have decided that we're going to call it On the Real. And there's going to be one real story and two fictitious stories. So through that came the adjustment.
Are we doing that segment now? I was going to do their actor first. What do you want to do?
Oh, no. I just wanted to bring that out that
Okay.
You corrected something from last week. And I wasn't even an error last week. It was just a difference in methodology. But we've decided to do it the one way now. And I like your way, Sean. I like it the one real. So
it's funny you made a comment like you said like it's easier to do two fake and one real because you only have to find one real. It's the opposite for me. For me, it's like it's harder to make up the stories because we're going to be at like 200 episodes. I'm going to keep making up new stories. You know what I mean? It's almost like we're giving ideas to like show writers in Hollywood and stuff for all these fake stories. It's really, it could be creative stuff, but I think it's harder to create because I can just go out. I know websites and certain like Unilad and different things. I could find these outlandish articles that are real pretty easily. So I thought that was interesting how you thought it was, easier to make up to.
If I just have to have one story that's real, that means I only have to check the facts of one real thing, and the other's up to me because I'm making it up.
Yeah,
so
you have a creative mind. And, honestly, I think we could look back at episode 100. Like, wow, what fake? Because we're doing like 2 fake stories a show. That's 4 a week. So 4 a week times 50. We're coming up with like at least 200 just generating ideas of like possible like show ideas for people. You know what I mean? It's like
then maybe we'll take those and maybe we'll write a show or two. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll use ChatGPT to write us some sitcoms or something. We'll see.
Yeah. So that's it. No, it's your standard routine here. We'll come back to
so
later on in the show.
You chose a legend. He's no longer with us, but his name is Sidney Poitier. I hope I pronounced that right. I looked on YouTube for the correct pronunciation. I think it's Sidney Poitier.
Sidney Poitier.
He was born in February of 1927, died January of 2022. He's from the Bahamas, but interestingly enough, he was born in Miami when his parents were visiting America. It gave him automatic U.S. citizenship. He moved to Miami at age 15. Then he moved to New York City at age 18. And honestly, he didn't even know how to read because he had like a thick Bahama accent, however you call it, Bohemian, whatever it is. And he was washing dishes at like a restaurant. There was a kind older Jewish man.
Yeah.
He used to sit with him and help him read. And that really probably set up his whole career, just him learning how to read because he became a hell of an actor. But he's considered a legend, a pioneer, and a groundbreaking performer. He's the first black man to kiss a white woman in a movie. He was a leading man in 1958 Defiant Ones and was nominated for Academy Award for Best Actor. And he was the first black actor ever nominated. So this guy is, pretty important for black history and also Hollywood history. And then in 1963, he won Best Actor for Lilies of the Field. And he was the first black actor to win. And it wasn't until 2002 that I think another black actor won Best Actor. So it's pretty interesting. He was groundbreaking.
Yes,
and he said, I'll let you talk. I just want to get my thing out of the way, my whole spiel here. His roles weren't really about being first. They were about being moral. He would never play immoral characters. His typical character was dignified, prideful, and ethical. He's quite a guy. And he landed an acting apprenticeship at a place that laughed him out of the building originally, because they probably laughed him out of the building because he could barely read. He had a thick accent, but then he came back and he got an apprenticeship there. Um, he wanted to play characters that were upright, educated, and stronger than the white people around him. I know it sounds a little bit, why does he have to be stronger than the white people around him? Well, it was usually the opposite in those days. They were depicting black people as slaves, as stupid, as not as good as white people. So he was taken it to a different level. He wanted to only play characters that were stronger than the white people around him. And that was setting a good example for a lot of black people watching him in the movies. In 1967, he was one of the top 10 moneymakers and leading men in Hollywood. And that was, that's 1967. So he went from not being able to really read and having a thick accent to one of the leading men in Hollywood. But some black people, they turned on him. They labeled him an Uncle Tom. Then he got into directing.
That's a shame.
Yeah, he wrote 3 autobiographies and a novel. He directed a movie. This one movie, I think it's called Stir Crazy. Did you see it? I think Richard Pryor was in it.
He directed. It was a very funny movie. He
directed it. I didn't even realize that. But this is your guy. I'll let you talk about him a little bit and give you a top 5.
Well, Sidney Poitier, if anyone's ever, he was just as smooth as silk. He was smooth. He was intelligent. He was articulate. He was all those things you want to be. I mean, I can remember recently, like maybe 5 years ago, 7 years ago, seeing him interviewed. And he was referring back to the aforementioned older Jewish fellow, that when he was like waiting tables and this and that, and this older Jewish man said to him, "You read?" And snap. He says, "Not even a little bit." No. He says, "Okay, I'll tell you what you do. Every night after work, we punch out, I'll clean up, and you come here, I teach you. I teach you." And he did. Every single night for months on end. And he was getting choked up about it because of what this man did for him. That was a big thing for me. That was something that really stuck with me. But
did you watch the thing I sent you at the interview they had with Leslie Stahl by any chance? Because
yes,
that had a lot of good information in it.
Yes, exactly.
That was very good.
Check him out. It's great, one of our finest actors. And like I said before, I'll do him now tonight, and then I'll go B actor, B minus actor, and then maybe 3 or 4 down the line, I'll do a big fish. But Sidney Poitier was absolutely one of the last actors from the golden age, but he was so good that he kind of just kind of through osmosis came through this age too. I'm going to give you my top 5 because we could talk all day about Sidney Poitier. Just, dude, I mean, just the definite. He was what Dr. J was on a basketball court. This guy was to the screen. Anyway, and I go from 5 down to 1. Probably, I mean, I guess number 5 was a movie he was in. This was older. It was called Sneakers. It wasn't real old, but it was called Sneakers.
Robert Redford's in that, right?
Robert Redford's in it. It's a clever story, and he plays a part in there, and he plays any part that he plays is good. But he was involved with that movie. It was a really pretty good movie. You had blackmail, and you had little chicanery here and there. It was interesting. That was my number 5. Now we're going to get down to number 4. These next 4 are difficult for me to prioritize, but I had to pick somewhere. Number 4 was a movie he did that was gigantic in interracial relationships. It was called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. He played a young doctor with a white girlfriend. And this is 1960, whatever it was, middle 60s, early 60s. And it was a situation where the parents had no idea. The daughter said, I met this guy. I want you to meet him. He's really smart. He's in medical school and blah, blah, blah. And they didn't know, nor did his parents really know until that dinner engagement. It's a really interesting show. Now, these days we'd look at it and say, huh? But this is 1964-ish when this happened. So, and it's a legendary movie. Okay. Number 3, from a former teacher, I'm going to tell you something. This was really one that that's near and dear to my heart. It's called To Sir with Love. to Sir, S-I-R, with love. He was a teacher in Great Britain and England, and that's the way they referred to their teacher. They didn't say Mr. Poitier or this or that. They would say Sir, and that was adequate for them to address their teacher. But it was all about him teaching in the 1960s in Britain, and his relationship with his students. It was just really neat. The second one you just mentioned a little while ago, Lilies in the Field, was again 1964-ish. It was black and white movie. It was just really, really cool. It was about, in the beginning, that shows you the convent, nuns were in this convent, and the one mother superior, had so much work to do and things to get done, and they even wanted to maybe build a separate little church building. And she was praying hard one night, and she prayed for just a strong man, to a strong, healthy, capable man to stop by here and give us somehow, some way. And about 2 days later, he's driving through that part of the country, and something went awry with his vehicle. He had to stop in here, and he stops right into the convent. And it was just really neat what transpired after that. I'm not even going to, but let's just say it was made you scratch your head, like maybe divine intervention. It was really, really cool. And the last one shouldn't come as a surprise to you, Sean, because I've told you about a series that I used to watch with my father called In the Heat of the Night. That series in the late 1980s was driven by a movie in the late 1960s called In the Heat of the Night. And Sidney Poitier was Detective Virgil Tibbs, and Roy Steiger was Chief Gillespie. And it's a story of Virgil Tibbs, a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania detective who had some business, somebody he knew down south or whatever, got in trouble or was, not going to give away the whole story. But anyway, he heads down to Mississippi into a small town. And needless to say, him being African-American in the 1960s into a Mississippi small town, with the sheriff, and the sheriff not too crazy about him being down there, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, and it was how he was received at first, and how through his merits and through his ability, and how things changed a little bit, and how he helped solve the case. It was a legendary landmark movie called In the Heat of the Night. And again, it drove the series In the Heat of the Night some 18 years later, to which I was a fan and my father was a fan, and I can even sit down and watch them today and feel like I'm watching with him. So that's why I chose In the Heat of the Night. So there are my top 5. Sidney Poitier is not just an actor, he's an institution, and you can just check it out. So. Absolutely.
I think I took a film class my senior year of high school. Teacher was Mr. Meyer. We watch a lot of old films, like Chinatown, like with Jack Nicholson, things like that. It was all about film history. The whole class was like, it was cool. We got to watch movies and then take tests about the movies. It was like, wow, I'm watching a movie now, but now I have to answer questions, so I have to really pay attention. But it made me watch film in a different way from then on. I saw he had us watching In the Heat of the Night, and there's a scene where an old white guy slaps him. He slaps him right back. But originally in that script, the old white guy slaps him, but Sidney Poitier said, I want to slap him right back. And when he did that, that was a big thing. It's like, okay, the white person hits the black person. Now what do they do? And then he slapped the guy right back. So that he insisted on that script change. So he was really a pioneer and an innovator. I don't really have a top 5 because I didn't see a ton of his movies, but I like the movie that he was in 1997 with Bruce Willis called The Jackal. I used to watch that. There's another movie like Unfaithful. It used to be on TV all the time. I used to always watch that movie. It was good. I saw Sneakers, obviously. That was good. And then I saw Stir Crazy, and I didn't realize he directed it. So the guy's a legend. He's a hell of an actor. It's unfortunate that he passed away, but he lived a very long life, and he made a lot of impact on people's lives, and he's forever remembered in Hollywood. So,
Yes, sir.
He better have a walk of star. He better be on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and have his own star.
Oh,
That's all.
again, Sean, you're talking about one of really. I'm not just hyping it up. He really is. It's just
Yeah.
not only how great he was of an actor, how great of a role model he was, how articulate he was, how he was smooth. Like I said, he was what Dr. J was on a basketball court. This guy was to acting, to the big screen.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of go back and when I find some time to watch a lot of his old movies, because I'm sure the influence he had in some of the scripts and the script changes, and I'd imagine that he chose some pretty good scripts. So I'm excited to see some of his other movies.
And one more thing before we move on about that scene was a scene where an older type of bigoted white landowner. And bear in mind, Sidney Poitier's character was Virgil Tibbs. He was a police detective, and he's standing there with the chief of police, who was Rod Steiger, right? And this guy knew the chief of police. He was good old boys with him. And he walked up, and Sidney Poitier's character said something that wasn't not too inflammatory, but just enough to irritate. I think he asked him, where were you Thursday night? That kind of thing, like verifying your whereabouts. And just the fact that Virgil Tibbs, Poitier's character, asked this guy where he was, just the fact that he felt he had that much audacity to ask me, he took a swing at him. He slapped him. And Sidney Poitier's character, Virgil Tibbs, slapped him back, as you said. And Sidney Poitier said he had something signed, so where nowhere would that movie ever be shown without that reciprocating slap. And he said he did it not because he condones violence. He did it because if he didn't slap him back, this is a police detective being slapped by a regular citizen, okay? And he said if he didn't slap him back, he'd be insulting all the African-American people throughout, it would be just that much of an insult.
Absolutely.
So that's why he did it. And I think that took cojones. And that's one other thing he had too. He had brass cojones. So,
I really appreciate you giving more details of the story, because I said really quick. I kind of summarized it.
I'm glad you reminded me.
You're good at really telling a story better, in a lot of ways better than I am, and your storytelling skills.
We pick each other up, Sean. I'm weak at something, you're strong, and vice versa.
The way you set it up was good. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking like a producer. I'm thinking, okay, we're on a time crunch. It's almost 8:00. We got to get done by.
I had to get that out.
Get that in. I'm like, all right, it was worth it. You got it in. So that's good. I'm happy.
And we're not on it.
Let's move on to Snapple Fact. You picked the Snapple Fact. It's Snapple Fact 1521, I believe. What exactly is Snapple Fact 1521?
All right, Snapple Fact 1521. I used to be, way back in the day, I used to work, and when I was through high school, I had a job in different kitchens and different restaurants. It says, the 100 folds in a chef's hat. Now, if you've seen, not all chef's hats, but the majority of chef's hats will have all those little folds, little folds all the way around. He said, it says the 100 folds in a typical chef's hat represent the 100 ways in which to cook an egg. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because I researched a little bit after, because you told me, the chef's hat thing. So it applied back in the day. It applied to the height of the hat. The taller the toque was, I think, the part of the hat, the more of the more a chef knew. Apparently, the taller your hat was, the more you knew. So people would see chefs with a tall hat, a really tall hat. They'd be like, "Oh, that's an accomplished chef."
Right.
If you saw a chef with a towering hat, they were likely the head of the kitchen.
Yep.
So it's pretty interesting. And apparently some renowned chef's hat got so tall they had to put cardboard in it for it to still stand up, because it was the hat was getting so tall. The chef kept learning more and more things.
Right.
But in the early days of French cuisine, the number of pleats, I guess, were those folds. It represented the number of recipes a chef had mastered for a given food, like egg or a chicken. So a hat with 100 pleats meant you were a master chef. And obviously 101, sometimes it meant that you knew how to cook an egg 100 ways. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Neat stuff.
Absolutely. Quickly, I have a quick update of the Bryan Kohberger case. We're going to do on the real segment in a second. I just want to quickly talk about this real quickly. So a weird thing happened in the case. The public defender that's assigned to represent Bryan Kohberger, he previously represented 3 of the parents of 2 of the victims, according to News Nation. So there's a conflict of interest. Apparently, the lawyer put a notice of withdrawal of the victim's mother's case, because one of the victim's mothers had like a drug case or something recently. But the lawyer who's representing Kohberger put a notice of withdrawal. He should have continued to represent her, but he wanted to represent Kohberger because it's a high profile case. He withdrew from the mother's case, and he's also represented 3 of the other parents of the victims. So there's conflict of interest laws in place. But it's really interesting to find that out, that the guy who killed your kids, he's going to, and it was, his lawyer was someone who represented you. Like, there seems to be a clear conflict of interest. There's power. Apparently one of the girl's moms gave the attorney power of attorney too. So it's a weird situation. I don't know how that even happened,
I don't know. And I hope they clean it up. That's all I can tell you. It's very strange.
Yeah, so that's that case is not going to be till like June. I think jury selection and whatever, everything starts around June, but we're going to have our updates here and there on the show. There's another case we're going to talk about for our current event. I'll talk about it after our On the Real segment. But let's move on to On the Real segment.
All right, On the Real segment. And again, I decided to acquiesce, go your way. I like that. Now that we're on the same page, literally, I like that. So one real story. So your job is to pick the real story. Okay.
Absolutely.
Here we go. From Boulder, Colorado, a diva, quote unquote, 400-pound black bear is caught taking multiple selfies with a wildlife cam. Out of 580 pictures, over 400 of them were taken by this bear as selfies.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one story. The next story from Austin, Texas. A 47-year-old man attempts suicide before friends rescued him from his own nefarious plan. It seems Jason Spencer of Austin recently found out via DNA test he is a relative of John Wilkes Booth, who was Abraham Lincoln's assassin. I'll read it again. A 47-year-old man.
I heard it. I got you.
You got me? Okay, you're straight now. We got one more.
The guy who tried to kill himself is a relative of John Wilkes Booth?
And that's why he did it, because he found that out. He had just recently found that out with one of these 21andMe or whatever the hell it is. Okay. Pensacola, Florida. A 66-year-old grandma, Laura Hacker of Pensacola, had her grandchildren visiting her for a week. One day, she went onto her back porch. The weather was uncharacteristically cold. She spotted an 18-inch baby alligator toy, or so she thought. And because it wasn't moving and was very rigid and stiff, she figured it was a plastic toy. She brought it in and just put it in the kitchen on the tile floor in the corner, thinking nothing of it. When she checked it about 2 hours later, wow, it was not there. She went into one of the other rooms to find a lamp knocked over and some other things, disheveled and so forth.
So the alligator was a real alligator that came to life and started messing with her house.
I don't know if it was, sometimes down there you can get these things that they get frozen. Like I've seen it with these lizards down there. So that's when I thought, what the hell? Anyway, she closed the door. She called animal, the people, the animal, whatever the hell, the animal. And they came out and they took care of it and they got up. But it was real. What happened was, because of the cold weather, sometimes, and you've seen these lizards sometimes down there, they fall out of trees. And they look like they're dead, and they're not. Now, this was an alligator. I didn't know it happened with them too, but this was a weird and wild story. So, yeah. So the real one.
Okay, so I'll just say, like, the one with the alligator sounds a little far fetched because she lives in Florida. She knows what's up. She knows animals freeze. She knows there's alligators outside. But I'll be honest with you. The first story you told me with that black bear taking selfies, I could have swore, through my browsing the internet in the past couple of weeks, that I saw a story very similar to that, with the selfies. So the question is it the same story, or did you just choose a different animal? The John Wilkes Booth thing seems far fetched. Like, why? Don't be too hard on yourself. If a guy in your family's potentially killed JFK, that's horrible, and you got a monster in your family type of situation, but, certainly don't kill yourself over it. And why did it take him so long to do it, like I said, the lady in Florida was probably hip to the animals being frozen at times. And why would she bring it inside? That's something. So I'm just going with I'm going with the first one, the black bear, just because I think I saw something online through I could have swore I saw a story similar with the selfies. So I'm going with that. It's the real one.
You are correct, sir. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Because once you mentioned the selfies, I was like, I just read about that somewhere. So I pretty much knew when you said that. I was like, oh, I picked out the real one, I think, but he could be fooling me. So I'm going to listen very closely to these next two. Then you heard my thought process. The other two,
it's logical, and I trust you're not sitting there on the.
I swear,
that takes the fun away. No,
I will go find a Bible somewhere in
No.
town and get the Bible, put my hand on it. I did not cheat. I did not cheat.
I don't. And you're actually, when you really break it down, see, I got to come up with better stories, because when you really do break it down, you knew the lady lived in Florida, so she knows what's up. And then
it also could have been a thing too. You could say you said like a random state that doesn't have alligators. That would have been obvious too. So it's not like you did the wrong thing with the details. You just
right.
One of those things where you're dealing with a guy who I got some common sense sometimes. You know what I mean? So it's like,
sometimes I'm going to throw the fastball by you. Sometimes you're going to hit it. That's all. The hell's the difference? But good job. Hell of a good job.
I like
it's fun.
Renaming the segment On the Reel is interesting. I kind of like
On the Reel too, and it reminds Joe to get one reel. That's all. Yeah.
So for our current event today, Joe, you heard about this guy. You sent me a voice note. You're like, you got to do this. The case just started. Alex Murdaugh, a South Carolina lawyer. He's the centerpiece of a twisted tale of two fatal shootings and the downfall of the South Carolina legal dynasty. It's a pretty interesting story. There's a whole timeline of events. Basically, it starts. He's accused of killing his wife and son. That's the main story, right? And the question is why. And then when you start digging into the why, you're like, okay, now it just makes a lot of sense. This guy's got a ton of skeletons in his closet. He was apparently stealing from clients. They only noticed that he was stealing from clients because they found a check that was addressed to him that was supposed to be addressed to a law firm, and somebody put the dots together. Like, this guy's, he's giving himself the money. But he sounds, honestly, I don't want to judge him too quickly, but he sounds like a real scumbag, to be honest. In 2015, the body of Stephen Smith, who was only 19, was found on Sandy Run Road in Hampton County, South Carolina. His death was ruled a hit and run, but his family had lingering questions, right? So that happens. And then I think what happened with that, I'm pretty sure it happened on Murdaugh's property. But they basically just ruled it a hit and run. But then when you find out what else this guy has done, you're like, okay, that guy probably killed that kid too, or he had him killed or got rid of him for some reason. Then in 2018, Gloria Satterfield was 57. She worked as a housekeeper and nanny for his family for a quarter century, mind you.
A poor thing.
She died 2 weeks after she reported to have fallen on the front stairs of the family's hunting property. So you have these two accidents near or in around their property. One a hit and run, and one's apparently she fell on the front stairs, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up when these things start happening to the same family. And
she apparently had some kind of information on him at that point too.
Yeah. So, but apparently, Murdaugh, her family was supposed to get settlement checks or something like that, and Murdaugh paid himself. He took the settlement checks because his law firm was representing or doing something. But then in 2019, it gets even crazier. His younger son Paul, the one who was just killed with his wife, his son Paul was 19 at the time. He drunkenly crashed the family boat into a bridge and threw several passengers into the water. One of the passengers, a girl, 19, was found a week later.
Oh, yeah.
And the parents sued Alex Murdaugh, Paul's dad, and it brought pressure to him to reveal details of his finances. So then in 2019, Paul Murdaugh, Alex's son, was charged with 3 felony counts in connection with the deadly boat crash. He pleaded not guilty. Let's jump to 2021. In 2021, Alex Murdaugh called 911. He reported that his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul, Paul was the one who drunkenly crashed that boat that killed that girl. They had been fatally shot at the hunting property in Islandton, wherever that is, a rural 65 miles west of Charleston. This is all in South Carolina. So this happens in 2021. So, all these things are happening to this one guy. It's pretty wild. And his family has a legal dynasty in South Carolina. They're well known. They're rich. So that's what happened in 2021. So this happened. He was, so in 2021, they reopened investigations into the death of Mr. Smith, the guy who died in 2015. And then again in 2021, in August, this guy, top prosecutor, wrote a letter to the state. He wrote to the attorney general. He said that he knew Mr. Murdaugh and had worked under his father, Randolph. And they proceeded with Mr. Stone as prosecutor for South Carolina's 14th Judicial Circuit. So I think that's a little corruption too. He's one of the region's top prosecutors, but he had to recuse himself in the murder case because he had an association with Murdaugh.
Right.
But that's not really the big detail of this. Murdaugh was forced to resign from his law firm in September of 2021. But then another crazy thing has happened. You think it's not, not crazy enough yet. In September of 2021, Murdaugh called 911 from the side of the road, not far from his home. He said he had been shot in the head. He claimed the shooter pulled up beside him and as he was expecting a flat tire, and he shot Murdaugh in the head.
Yeah.
But Murdaugh survived magically with that.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
So then there's all the things that happen. Going down the timeline here, I'm reading the New York Times timeline. I got a pretty good summary with good dates and timeline. It gives me, gave me a really clear idea because so much stuff happened. I was like, how do I keep up with it? How do I bring up all these events? So the housekeeper's family sued Murdaugh because he pocketed the settlement funds, as I said. And then Murdaugh was arrested in October of 2021 for he was at a Florida drug detoxification center. He was charged with swindling millions of dollars from the sons of Miss Satterfield. Anyway,
nice guy.
All this stuff happened. The hearing just started this week. He was indicted on 2 counts of murder, but then he was also indicted on 9 counts of tax evasion. He defrauded people in the range of $8.8 million. So now jury selection just happened on January 23rd, and here we are. So, Joe, you saw some of this on the news. It's going to be on probably all the stations like True TV. I was going to say Court TV. I don't think Court TV exists anymore. I think it's now called True TV. But, what are some of your initial thoughts about this gentleman?
I think that the circumstantial evidence adding up again, just like the other Joker, with the 4 stabbings or whatever, the circumstantial evidence is starting to really, really, really pile up. And I'm just shocked at 2 things. I'm shocked, first of all, at this guy, and how much of a sociopath he really seems to be. He really
is he a sociopath, or is one of those guys who was backed in the corner? He had like no choice, and he started making some terrible decisions. Survive.
I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I'd have to have more information to make a determination. But I'm going to tell you, he sure smells like a sociopath. Number one. The second thing that really surprises me and really makes me sick is the fact that in this country, when you can get some money, and then you can get some money, you can persuade some people to do certain things and to look away at certain times. Money is power in that regard, and you can be a real honest to God reptile like this guy was for so long and get away with it. It's really disheartening. But I hope they catch up with this son of a bitch, and I really hope and the other son of a bitch. Because really, I mean, listen. First of all, none of this stuff is good. None of this stuff is permissible. None of this stuff is even conscionable. But the one guy stabs 4 kids because he can't get laid. Okay? That's kind of what it comes down to. That's the first one. Second of all, over here, this guy made mistake after mistake, and he's covering up. He's getting away with covering up. He's covering up the kid getting hit. He's covering up his other kid with the girl falling out of the boat and drowning. He's getting away with everything, and he's covering up. And he went out and he shot, Sean, let me just say one more sentence. He went out and shot his baby boy and his wife. I almost said the F word. You son of a bitch. And he sits there like he's I can't even get into it. But I hope we catch up with both of these guys. Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
If you have HBO Max, there's a documentary about this whole case on HBO Max. And this is actually, before the whole court case. It tells you the whole story about what's going on. Probably talks about all the events I said in the timeline, but they probably have interviews with real people. I started watching it the other night, but I got too tired and went to sleep, but I'm definitely going to finish it. The trial is expected to run through February 17th. And Murdaugh's lawyers haven't said if he's going to testify or not, because if this guy testifies, imagine watching him on the stand. That's going to be entertainment.
Yeah, yeah, we'll sure will be. But I said to you, if we're going to do the one Joker with stabbing the four kids, we've got to do this guy's. He's unbelievable. He's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And then we give some backstory. The reason he apparently asked someone to shoot him in the head and kill him, he asked this guy, Mr. Smith, because he thought it would be ruled a murder than no, yeah, it was supposed to be ruled a murder. And his older son, he has another son named Buster. So his older son, Buster, was supposed to collect his life insurance policy. I believe it was about like $10 million or something like that. But Murdaugh and a gentleman who he hired to shoot him were also charged with insurance fraud. So,
Here's the thing.
Let me tell you real quick, his story about what happened on the night of the shootings with his wife and son. He claims that he was away from the hunting property visiting his mother. He was with a nurse assistant. Then he returned about an hour later and he found the gruesome crime scene. So he seems to have like the worst possible alibis. Everyone knows he's lying, right?
Yeah. And he's covered stuff up before. I mean, how many times can you stand on one end with the telephone saying, I want to report bodies laying around? And it's like, get away with it all day. It's just, he's got to be caught up with. But who knows? Maybe I don't know. Maybe depends on the jury,
Absolutely.
We've seen that. So we'll see what goes on.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting. So we're going to have our Kohberger segment, like every episode, little things that happen before the Kohberger thing starts. But this case is taking the forefront. The Murdaugh case, we're going to start doing updates in the Murdaugh case. I'm going to try to check out little clips of the trial because I can't watch the whole trial. I have a job and a life,
Right.
I'm just not able to do it. But I can watch clips of it at least, so I can DVR it and just watch a little bit. And I'll do it for the show because I want to have really solid information. And I'll have my little observations, what I observed in court, because I did go to law school for a little bit, so I know a little bit about what goes on there. But anyway, we're going to have updates about Murdaugh. That's our current event today. It's going to be interesting to update. This case is very interesting. That's all I'll say. But moving on to sports. Joe, big game Sunday, Eagles 49ers at 3:00.
Yes, sir.
And then, you got the Bengals game after that. So Sunday's going to be fun. Sunday's going to be crazy for me because I'm going to see Villanova versus Providence at the Wells Fargo Center. That's at 12:00. And Eagles are playing at Lincoln Financial Field at 3:00. And the tailgating opens up for the Eagles fans at 8 a.m. And so it's going to be a mess. I'm just hoping that parking's not going to be crazy because I have parking passes and I don't know. I'm looking forward to the game because Providence is ranked. And, if we beat them, it'll be our first win, I think, this year versus a ranked team. So it's going to be cool, but I'm just, I'm concerned about the parking lot. There's going to be a lot of rabid drunk Eagles fans. So we'll see how that goes. But, what's some of your keys to the game, Joe? What do you think about the Eagles 49ers? The Eagles I saw they're favored by 2.5 points, but I just checked again. Some betting sports books has them favored by 3 now. They moved up 0.5 point. So.
Well, yeah, look, and from the time this thing was shaping up, it's like, wow, what do you do here? Like the immovable object and the irresistible force, and and I kind of think it through, and I try to step back and think about it as objectively as I can. And the way I see this thing, I mean, you've got the number one defense in San Francisco, but it's only like, if you line these two defenses up and you compare, because the Eagles are number 2, the second defense in the league. And the Niners are only number 1 because of the formula they use is they're a little bit ahead of them in certain areas, like in certain, when you do the math. But when you really look at it overall, you've got 2 damn good defenses. Okay. When I look at this thing, I look at any other game. Okay, let's look at the Eagles offense against the 49er defense. 49 defense is going to lock, stock, and barrel. Yards are going to be hard to come by when you're running the football. So now what we have to do is protect Jalen and throw the ball. And the 49ers back end has been susceptible. They've been known to give up big chunks in here and there. Now, why it doesn't happen that often is because they're able to get home, the pass rush is, and negate the pass. To this week, they're going to be facing an offensive line like they haven't faced all year, and these guys can protect a little bit. I'm not saying Bosa's not going to have a sack here or there, but for the most part, they're going to be able to protect. And if Jalen has time, look out down the field. So I think we're going to be able to put up points. I'm telling you, I think we're going to put up about 30. Now just hear me out. Everyone says, "Oh, it's going to be 9-6,"
Yeah, because
and listen,
everyone's saying
I'm not buying all that. I'm not buying all that.
The over under is like 46 points or something like that.
Right,
So
and that's fine. And I was almost there myself for quite a bit of the week. Like, yeah, this is really going to be. No,
I know. I
I
thought
think
you're
they're.
saying, dude. I'm kind of lockstep with you. I don't think it's going to be as low scoring and boring as people think. Because the 49ers just had that type of game with the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I think the Eagles could put up some points here, especially if they win.
I think the Eagles are going to put up 30. And don't forget, this without a defensive score. They might have a defensive score because this kid may get rattled and throw you that little, I don't know. But let's just say 30. I'm thinking 30 for the Eagles that they could put up. And it's not outlandish. They're going to be chucking the ball down the field against the 49ers secondary that's very, very iffy, okay? That's the only iffy part of their whole defense. Now, let's flip the script. Now, we got the Eagles defense, who, again, is just as good as the San Francisco defense. I mean, maybe a couple percentage points if they were higher. Someone had to be 1 and someone had to be 2, but the disparity is not that great at all. They're really neck and neck. So now the 49er offense, they run the hell out of the ball, and they are good. The Eagles defense at times can show weaknesses against the run, but at other times they can lock you down. I'm hoping that the lock you down Eagles run defense shows up, because if that's the case, then it's going to be, okay, rookie, okay, kid, here, you got to throw it. You're going to have to throw it. Now, the Eagles led the league in sacks. They're going to be all over his ass, number one. And when they're not, this kid's going to be looking to get rid of that football. And I just think he's got to cough it up at least once. And I don't think collectively the 49ers can put up 30 on us. I really don't. Not with the way they're set up. Yeah. So this idea, the Niners would love for it to be a close, tight game in the middle of the fourth quarter. But I think the Eagles are thinking, we're going to bust this SOB wide open. And then they're not even going to want to run the ball because they're going to be so far ahead. And I think they can do it. You got the Slim Reaper. You've got Devontae Smith, dude. And then you've got on the other side, you've got A.J. Brown. And then you've got Goddard. And then you've got Quez Watkins in between who can get past people. So I really think the passing game is going to yield some big chunks. I think the birds are going to be up, and there's no disrespect to San Francisco. When I'm looking at a score, something like 30-17.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's going to be, a lot of people are saying, some people at least are saying that this is the real Super Bowl. This is the real Super Bowl. Forget the actual.
I'm not buying that either.
That's what some people are saying that, and it's going to be quite a matchup because the Eagles are ranked 6th in. They said there's something called DVOA that people use in football. Football people know this. It measures a team's efficiency by comparing success on every single play to a league average based on the situation and opponent. So it's kind of complex, but it seems to be pretty accurate. The Eagles are 6th in DVOA for total defense. The 49ers are 1st. Both are built up front. They're built to win up front on both sides of the ball. They have physicality that people haven't seen in a lot of modern football. Purdy, apparently, he's posted a 116 passer rating since making his first career start in week 14. Remember, his first career start wasn't until week 14. So this guy, he's a newbie here. He's doing a hell of a job. But
that's also going to work against them.
That 116 passer rating, but the 116 passer rating since week 14 is the best in the league. You know what I mean?
That's good.
So,
first of all, who'd he play? And second of all, this is the NFC title game on the road at a place like Philadelphia. Yeah. He's going to be knocking in his boots. But go ahead.
Basically, both teams they have a good running game. They got multiple running backs. And they also have home run ability on both sides. I mean, you guys have Miles Sanders could break open a long run. You could throw a long pass to A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith, even Goddard. The 49ers obviously have Deebo Samuel and McCaffrey. And I saw an interesting thing that the 49ers like to run a 21 personnel. It has 2 running backs, 1 tight end, and 2 receivers. And since 2017, the 49ers have scored 70 touchdowns out of a 21 personnel. The next closest to that is the Patriots at 32. So think about this. They scored 70. This next second place is 32 in this 21 personnel, where they got 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 1 tight end. So if you got Deebo Samuel and McCaffrey on the field at the same time, anything could happen. And that's,
Yeah, didn't say it was going to be easy, Sean. No way. And I don't disrespect them.
The Eagles actually, they could combat it. The Eagles could defend the outside zone when 21 personnel is in effect. So they can combat it. Yeah. They're only allowing 3.2 yards per carry against outside zone and 21 personnel looks this season. So
Right.
well, they might have an answer to that. And the coverage that gives Hurts the most trouble this season is the cover three. And the 49ers run that about 35% of the time. So if they're playing a cover three defense, Hurts might have a little bit of trouble because that's where he's the weakest.
There's one thing I want to say real quickly about this too. When I talk about the Eagles scoring 30 points, it's also with Hurts saying the hell with the shoulder, hell with everything. This is it. We're here. This is the NFC title game. And taking off when he needs to take off, because the one thing the 49ers haven't even played this year is a very mobile quarterback. So you've got a skillful quarterback who's also very mobile. That's what I love about this kid. But it's a big moment for Jalen too. He's got to get it done in the big games. You know what I mean? Unlike his college career, he's got to get it done in the big games, not just the regular season. But I like the Eagles to and the 49ers, like I said, 49ers have yet to play this dude this year, like even a guy like him. So I expect Jalen to get his yards on the ground too.
Yeah, I'm saying my prediction is 27-21 Eagles. Eagles win by 6.
Yeah, that's logical. I got it. What did I have? I had 30 at 17, so that's okay.
Most experts are saying it because the over under is 46.5 points, and a lot of people are saying take the under, but I'm going a little bit over. I'm going a little bit over, so. It sounds like what do you got? You got 30-17, so you're going about where it's at with the points, but we both like the Eagles, so we'll see, man. I hope your Eagles, honestly, dude, I hope your Eagles win. I know I'm a Cowboys fan, but I hope your Eagles win because we'll have a lot of content to talk about until the Super Bowl. We'll really be able to, evaluate very closely the matchup, whether it's Eagles versus Bengals, whether it's Eagles versus Chiefs, and let's talk a little bit about that Eagles Chiefs matchup. So the Kansas City Chiefs, they've lost 3 straight games to the Bengals, and Mahomes has never beaten Burrow yet. And some Bengals fans are starting to call Arrowhead Stadium Burrowhead Stadium.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, Mahomes has a bad right ankle. His ability to scramble is a big part of his game, and he's got to make off-schedule throws. So it could be tough for that ankle.
I'm just going to tell you that. Go ahead. I got to just tell you the one thing about this whole thing. And this is what I said about Buffalo too. I just saw Buffalo was kind of limping into this, and I'm saying the Chiefs defense is kind of limping into this. And I think that's where your mismatch is going to be, is the offense for, Burrow and Joe Mixon and those guys and Chase. And they're going to be way too much for this half-assed Chiefs defense is what it is. Now,
you make a good point there because the Chiefs have one of the youngest defensive backfields. They often have three rookie corners and a rookie safety on the field at once. So a lot of rookies out there.
So I just think that's where it's going to be. I mean, is Mahomes, first of all, he's got to be limited in some ways. I feel great and I could do hopscotch tomorrow. He could tell you anything. He had a high ankle sprain. He'll be out there. He'll be numbed up, but he's not going to be quite the same. The defense for the Bengals is adequate. It's a hell of a lot better than the Chiefs defense. And you got that factor, and you got these guys went into that stadium last year and won the AFC title game.
But not only one, didn't they come back? Wasn't it 21-3? They came back from that big deficit.
Yeah, and he's just not scared. They're not scared. They don't give a damn arrow, nothing. They don't care. They don't. So, now, could the Chiefs still win? Sure, they can win anytime they take the field because they're talented. And if their defense has a lucky game or plays over their head. And in some ways, I think if we're fortunate enough, if we're fortunate enough to beat the 49ers and get to the Super Bowl, I kind of mess around thinking that it might be better for us to play that Chiefs team. Can't believe I'm saying it, but to play the Chiefs team because of how weak that defense is. So I don't know. But Sean Payton said, your boy Sean Payton said, whoever wins out of Philly and Frisco is going to be hard to beat in the Super Bowl. So I like that.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people think that Philly Frisco is the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's the real.
And years ago, Sean, it was, though. I mean, years ago, the NFC title game, when your Cowboys used to go up against the 49ers back in those days, everybody knew that whoever came out of that game was going to beat the brakes off the AFC representative, no matter who it was.
We lost to the 49ers in 94, and they went on to smash the Chargers. It wasn't even close.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, and really the NFC from the time, from the early 1980s for 15 years, Sean, they knew whoever was coming out of the NFC was winning the Super Bowl. And it was that way. It was that way for about 15 years, guy. Go back and check it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because you had the 49er teams, you had the Redskin teams, you had the Chicago Bears that had that one good year, then you had the Giants coming out of there, and then the 49ers again, and then Dallas. It was just crazy. It was like, okay, the NFC title game, you mean, okay, whoever is going to win this is going to win the Lombardi too. We know that. So
Yeah.
that's what made those things so epic anyway.
Yep.
But go ahead.
So I think Mahomes has a bad ankle, so the Chiefs really need to try to run the ball and see what they can do running the ball. The Bengals, conversely, they struggle running the ball. Joe Mixon's decent, but he's not like a superstar level where he can not having a good offensive line and not having good blocking. He doesn't really rise above that. He had a good game last week, I'll admit.
Yeah,
But,
Buffalo.
Yeah, he had a good
Buffalo
game
never
last
stopped
week.
the run anyway.
Yeah, so we'll see if the Bengals can run, but the Chiefs really need to see if they can get the run game going because Mahomes obviously, he's been a full participant in practice. At least he's letting everyone know that he's healthy, but he could be hurting a little bit more than he admits.
Exactly.
But Burrow, I mean, as long as Burrow's got one of the fastest release times in football, because the problem was he had a bad offensive line, but he's releasing the ball in about 2.5 seconds. And last week's the Bills only sacked him one time. So if the Chiefs only sack Burrow one time, I think the Bengals win. But it's going to be a good game though, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's at 6:30. The Chiefs are favored by 1.5. They're at home. I think Burrow wins, though. I think Burrow comes through again. I think he goes 4-0 versus the Chiefs. I think the Bengals win 34-24.
Yeah, I like the Bengals are going in there with absolutely. They're not intimidated at all. Matter of fact, to think about this is Arrowhead Stadium. And if anyone's intimidated, it's that they won't tell you this, but it's the home team because they know these guys coming in here whip our ass every time they come in here. So I'm going to go Bengals also because of the Chiefs defense just being trash. So I'm going to go Bengals also. I don't know what to pick. I'm going to pick anytime you have Mahomes slinging it around, you have a chance to keep it close, but I'll just say 27-20.
Okay. Interesting. So touchdown
Yep.
win.
Yeah. And
All
it's
right,
not
cool.
as close as the score would appear, one of those things, like maybe the Chiefs get a late one or something.
Yeah.
So something like that.
Yeah. So that's our football predictions. We're going to wrap up pretty soon. I want to quickly mention that the Knicks beat the Celtics last night.
Yes,
it was
I
a big
saw
win for the
that.
Knicks. It was on national TV. The Celtics are number 1 in the Eastern Conference. I
Yeah.
believe they're tied for first in the whole NBA. They're tied for first with the Nuggets. The Nuggets surprisingly the Nuggets got Jamal Murray back. So the combination of Jamal Murray and Jokic, it's pretty deadly. But anyway, the Knicks won. But the scary part last night was the Knicks had like a 10-point lead with 5 minutes to go, or a 12-point lead. And then, I was occupied doing something else. But then I turn on the TV and the game's going to overtime. So the game is never over with the Knicks. It's a roller coaster every game because I watch almost every Knicks game, and it's never easy. You would think that a 12-point lead with 5 minutes to go is sufficient, but obviously it wasn't. But then we had to, give our fans a heart attack, and the Knicks won in overtime. Shout out to RJ Barrett. He finally did something really big. He hit a really big three, corner three, swished it. So that was a vital bucket that actually kind of sealed the win for the Knicks. Then Jalen Brunson had a last-second block on a three-pointer. I believe Brogdon was trying to hit a three-pointer. Brunson got his hand in the way. There's a lot of guys won't even try to contest the shot because they're afraid of fouling, but Brunson made sure that it didn't foul. He blocked it. That was good. So, yeah, I mean, the Knicks are in 7th in the East. Celtics are in 1st. We beat the number 1 team. So it just shows me that the Knicks make the playoffs, which they probably will. They can hang with anybody if they're playing well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the show for today. All links for social media are in the description. Joe, the floor is yours.
I think preparation H works better on the whole. Good night.
Take care.